So we are trying to define DSS with respect to data warehouse, right? So decision support systems are generally defined as the class of warehouse system that deals with solving a semi-structured problem. And I have asked few questions in the last class about regarding semi-structured problem. I have not yet received them. I hope you are trying to find such examples. So if possible, give the examples today. So in short, the unstructured components involves some human intuition and requires some human interaction with the DSS. And this thing we have already discussed. Example like choosing a site for a factory that belongs to semi-structured problem. Then we have discussed about expert system. And also I ask you to go through this important expert system like Mycin, Dendrel, Prospector. Mycin is very famous. Okay, so it attempts to recommend appropriate therapies for patients with bacterial infections. And what is main important here is that it uses LISP. Can anybody tell me what does it mean by LISP? So you guys have not gone through the example, right? Go through is very important. If you are going to appear for reaching that examination, then believe me, uh, you'll say that sir, one day has to ask us to go through this because these questions are coming there. Okay, don't skip them. So LISP is for list programming, very important part of artificial intelligence. So this machine uses libs structures for writing internally rules, and these rules are used to reason backward to the clinical data available from its goal of finding disease causing organism. So you know that we have two types of reasoning: forward reasoning and backward reasoning. Forward reasoning and backward reasoning. So forward reasoning means what? You start with some means initial conditions and you then go by applying them. Ultimately, you will get some output. That is a kind of forward reasoning. Okay, you moves forward with the help of the given conditions or given reasons. Okay, yeah, these are the reasons. Because of these reasons, what will happen? Right. That is forward reasoning. Now, backward reasoning means you start from here. Let me use another color. My voice is coming clear to you, right? And you, the screen is visible. Okay. I'm asking you because I'm not getting any response. That's why I'm asking you. Is my voice coming clearly to you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, no problem. So, what is that backward reasoning? You see, in the case of forward reasoning, from these reasons, from these given conditions, we move forward and we ultimately reach at this stage. যে এইবিলাক ৰিজনৰ কাৰণে যে এইটো হৈছে সেইটো আমি যেতিয়া মুভ ফৰৱাৰ্ড কৰোঁ তোমালোকে হয়তো ফাজি লজিক পঢ়িছিলা যদি আগতে বা আৰ্টিফিচিয়েল ইণ্টেলিজেঞ্চ যদি পেপাৰখন চাইছা তেন্তে গম পাবা যে ইন দেট ৱে উই মুভ ফ্ৰম ৰিজনছ টু স্পেচিফিক গ'ল দেট ইজ ফৰৱাৰ্ড ৰিজনিং বাট যেতিয়া আমি কনচিডাৰ কৰোঁ এই এক্সপাৰ্ট চিষ্টেমবিলাক যিবিলাক দোজ হুইচ আৰ একচুৱেলি লাইক মাইচিন okay what they are doing actually they try to diagnose you okay so in this case it is known that this is the thesis okay It is known that this disease occurred. Now, it will move backward. ই backward move কৰিব কিয় কাৰণ এইখিনিত আমাৰ মেইন এইমটো এইটো থাকিব যে we try to find out that what are those causes, what are the reasons because of which this disease means this is infected you, right? Means we need to find out those bacteria which because of whose infection this disease occurred. So as we are moving from this to in this way, so this is a kind of backward reasoning. And in case of mycene, we apply that. And for that, what we use LISP, LISP, that is list programming. So I have given a brief introduction of mycene because of its importance that it has been asked many times in the UCNet examination. That's why I have given a brief introduction. But you also go through the other expert systems that I have cited. Okay, very important. Now, the difference between the expert system and DSS, like I have discussed in the last class, that in the case of expert system, it tries to automate the decision-making process. In the case of DSS, it facilitates the decision-making process. See, you need to find out the gravity of these two words. In the case of DSS, it tries to facilitate the decision-making process. কি কৰিছে আমি decision-making process to facilitate কৰিছো. Okay, automate কৰা নাই। আমি ডাটাখিনি লৈছো, সেই ডাটাখিনি চাই পেলাই ডাটাখিনিৰ পৰা কিটো তোমাৰ এটা structured or unstructured program or non-program এই যে ডিচিশন বিলাক মেক কৰো উইথ সেই বস্তুটো সেই প্ৰচেছটো just facilitate কৰিছে. Okay. But in the case of expert system, what is happening is that we try to extract the knowledge from some domain expert. Suppose that person who has expertise on, suppose in the case of computer vision, so we are extracting his knowledge, his expertise of this field. We are keeping it and forming that knowledge base, like database. I already told you that in artificial intelligence, we call it as knowledge base. And then we actually form some rules. You'll see in the associative mining, we try to frame those rules, right? Kind of if-else rules. Then from those rules, we try to infer something with the help of inference engine. Okay, so ultimately we have arrived at the decision. Here, if you see this process, no human interaction is required. ইয়াত মানুহৰ কোনো দৰকাৰ নাই। কেতিয়ালৈকে আমাৰ দৰকাৰ হৈ আছে আমি যাৰ পৰা ইনফৰমেশ্যন খিনি লৈছো সেইখিনি কালেক্ট কৰিছো তেতিয়ালৈকে জাষ্ট we are involved, but after that the human is not needed here. Okay, so that's why this is an expert system. Okay. So that is the main important difference. And then the next difference is that in the case of expert system, this is structured. It works in the structured environment, but DSS works in an unstructured environment. And the others difference, I hope that you probably got them already. One more diagram I have included here with some specific points. Look at here. Is the diagram clearly visible to you? Diagram to bhalko dekhi pai asa?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, DSS expert system. Protomote goals. Okay, this is a supports human decision maker, and then ES copy or replace human advisor. Then who makes decisions or recommendation? The man or the system in the case of DSS, but in the case of expert system, the system makes that decision. Then direction of the inquiry, DSS, man inquires the system. But ESত কি হব? ESত the system inquires in man. Suppose I'm considering that my scene. ই সুধিব তোমাক যে তোমাৰ এতিয়া বডি টেম্পাৰেচাৰ কিমান, তোমাৰ এইটো ৰিপৰ্ট ল'ব, দেন what how you are feeling now, and this different condition, these things, the system will ask you to input that, right? So system is inquiring man in the case of expert system. Then types of support, DSS, individual groups. Then in the case of ES, it's okay. Then type of data manipulation, numeric in the case of DSS, and in the case of ES, it is symbolic. So then the types of output from the decision support system. It is a, I mean, DSS or output to Kibalu. What output we have got? We got some reports and forecast, right? That may be focus of anything. And that is actually been required here. MIS, Management Information System. Okay. So DSSৰ পৰা আমি কিছুমান report পালো, forecast পালো, যিটো management information system আমি use কৰো. Now hypothesis testing. Have you heard about this term? Hypothesis. এইটো শুনিছা এই শব্দটো আগতে? Have you heard this? If you heard
Yes,
this,
sir.
then yes, and no, just response.
Yes, sir. শুনিছো।
শুনিছা? So hypothesis exactly কি হয়? আমি কিছুমান কথা ভাবি লওঁ, right? We just assume something, and then we try to find out whether it is it's going to be true or not, right? That this is not the exact definition, but that this works in that way. Okay, we assume that these things is going to be true. So in that way, we may have different type of hypotheses. Just like here, suppose did sales decrease in the eastern region last month because of the changes in the buying habits? This involves iterative questioning with one answer leading to another questions. So এইটো এটা আমি ধৰি ললো যে ইষ্টাৰ্ণ ৰিজনটোত লাষ্ট মন্থত কি হৈছে, অকমান চেলছ বিলাক ডিক্ৰিজ হৈছে. Okay, as a data analysis, as a business analytics, this is your job to find it out the regions, right? To me, বহুত এসোপামান data লৈ, you need to find out that hidden pattern, that how the been should this thing is being changed. That a western region of suppose a particular company to suppose তুমি ধৰি ল'ব পাৰা TCS or কোনোবা এটা product a particular regionত বেছি sales হৈছে, কোনোবা এটা regionত কম হৈছে, but as data analysis, what is your job? You need to find that by analyzing that data, the reason behind it, so that company will take care of that, and ultimately it make some good decisions that এইটো regionত আমি এনেকুৱা কৰিলে এনেকৈ বৃদ্ধি হ'ব বস্তুটো, like that. So in that case, DSS will help us. Okay. So now up to now, I hope that you got it, that why we need this DSS, like this hypothesis testing, then model building, then discovery of unknown threats. It is a major example to do. This falls under this discovery of unknown threats. What is the trend? Why these things been changed? That why the sale is increasing in the western region, but it is decreasing in the eastern region, and what are the measures that we can take so that we can increase our sales in the eastern regions too? Obviously, the people from eastern region is demanding something else. That thing we have to find out, right? So সেইটো কাৰণে মই কওঁ যে এই পেপাৰখন আমাৰ মেচিন লাৰ্নিং ডাটা মাইনিং, দিছ পেপাৰ ইজ পিয়ৰলি প্ৰেক্টিকেল. তুমি এলগৰিথমখিনি পঢ়িলা, তাৰপিছত ইউ নিড টু implement them. You need to take different data set. You need to analyze those them. In that way, you'll find this paper more interesting. Ultimately, we are going to use the data mining tool. See, data warehouse we are using because to have that what I can say that historic analysis, the analysis of this historic data that probably give you some subject oriented means what I can say that subject oriented analysis that leads you to find out that hidden trend. But there you need to apply some data mining algorithm based on your requirement. Suppose you have some good information about that domain, then you go for supervised one. And suppose you don't have that good knowledge about the domain, then you go for unsupervised one, like that. So ultimately, we are going to use data mining tools in any way. Okay, got it. Now let's come to the data warehouse architecture. We have different types of data warehouse architecture. We'll discuss three of them. So data warehouse architecture is a method of defining the overall architecture of data communication processing and presenting that this for end clients computing within the enterprise. মানে সহজ অৰ্থত ক'বলৈ গ'লে আমি কেনেকে ডাটাখিনি বহুত ডিফাৰেণ্ট চ'ৰ্চেছৰ পৰা লৈ অৰ্গেনাইজ কৰিম যাতে ইউজাৰ্ছখিনিয়ে উইদাউট এনি প্ৰব্লেম দে উইল গেট ৰিপৰ্ট ফ্ৰম দেয়াৰ ৰাইট চ' accordingly we have three common data warehouse architecture. First one is basic one. যেতিয়া আৰু অলপ কমপ্লেক্স বনাই যাওঁ আৰু অলপ নতুন ফিচাৰ্ছ এড কৰি যাওঁ then we will get the more complicated one and better one. Like data warehouse basic architecture basic one, it just contains the simple architectures. Then data architecture with stacking area, then data warehouse architecture with stacking area and data march. ঠিক আছে আমি তিনিটাৰ বিষয়ে with diagrams will try to learn them, understand their basic pieces. So coming to the first one. Is the diagram visible to you? Diagram to দেখি পাই আছে ভালকে? Can you see the diagram?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. তেন্তে ইয়াত কি ধৰিব পাৰিছা? What you can see is that there are different choices. Then we are collecting the data from these different sources and we are trying to integrate them. But if you look at carefully, there's no other space here. We're directly collecting the data and integrating the data at the same place that is none other than your data warehouse. And from there, different users being linked. Someone is doing analysis, someone is reporting, someone is mining, but the users are directly linked to this data warehouse. So this forms the basic data warehouse architecture. Because you can take a screenshot of this. Now, at the terms yet more use the term I have used here is that operational system. What is that? So operational system is a method used in data warehouse to refer to a system that is used to process the day-to-day transaction of an organization. Day by day, forget about the day by day, every minute basis, different transactions are going on, right? বহুত ট্রানজেকশন তোমালোকে ধৰি লোৱা তুমি গুগলত সাৰ্চ মাৰিছা বা তুমি ফেচবুকত কিবা এটা সাৰ্চ কৰিছা চাইছা ইউটিউবত এটা ভিডিঅ' আপলোড হৈছে চ' এইবিলাক কি these are nothing but some transaction, right? And these things are generating a huge amount of data single minute basis. আৰু এই অপাৰেশ্যন চিষ্টেমটো কামটো হৈছে কি এই গোটেই ডে টু ডে যিখিনি ট্ৰানজেকশ্যন হৈ আছে whatever the day to day transactions are going on, it try to process them. So the data will be collected and then finally integrated in the data warehouse. Then one more term I have used here is flat files, right? And this one is very important. So what is flat file? Any idea about that? Flat file, Unisa agote? Come on, guys, you need to give the response, and only the class will be
Sir,
more interesting. একদম শুই নাথাকিবা নহলে মোৰ শুবলৈ মন যাব কোৱা
sir, nah, sir, flat file.
Okay, so flat file system is a system of files in which transactional data is stored. Every file in the system must have a different name. Here definition to say, if you go into the definition, you'll find no difference between them. Between them means what? Between a Dibya means database file and a flat file. But still there exists difference between them. Okay, আৰু সেই টিপিকেল বস্তুবিলাকে আমাৰ এই কম্পিটিটিভ এক্সামত সুধি দিয়ে what is the difference between the flat file and a database file. So let's try to have a look at them. এইখন দেখি পাইছা, this is a flat file model. Now what I have said, the difference between flat file and relational database. See, আমি যে কৈ থাকো, we used to call DBMS database management system. Actually that is RDBMS, relational database management system. Can anybody tell me why? Why this is RDBMS?
Sir, ইখন টেবুল আৰু মানে একটা হেৰিতে ইখন টেবুল লগত ৰিলেটেড হৈ থাকে ৰিলেট কৰি থৈ দিয়ে সেইকাৰণে ৰিলেচনেল
All of hoise partially correct. Actually relation is a শব্দ to, this is related to table, right? আমি কি ইউজ কৰো ডিবিএমএছত তুমি যিমানে যি নকৰি নলোৱা কিয়, আলটিমেটলি সাপোজ তুমি ভিউ বনাইছা, তুমি ট্ৰিগাৰৰ ওপৰত এক মানে ৱৰ্ক কৰিছা, ইউ আৰ ৱৰ্কিং অন ট্ৰিগাৰ, ইউ আৰ সাপোজ ক্ৰিয়েটিং ভিউ, you are joining whatever the different operations we have in the case of DBMS, but finally you are working on some table. Yes or no? হয় নে নহয়? কৰিছা নহয় DBMS আগতে? Yes. So এই যে টেবুল শব্দটো হেতুকে আমি ৰিলেশন বুলি কওঁ। Okay. So হেতু কাৰণে DBMS খনক আমি ক'ব পাৰো RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. So you don't confuse whenever you are using the term DBMS, actually this is nothing but RDBMS. Now let's come to our main topic, that is the difference between the flat file and relational database. So see, a database consists of a single table. Flat file database এখনে মাত্ৰ table থাকে. Flat file database consisting of a single table. But তোমালোকে, you already work in the which Oracle or whatever DBMS you are using. You have yourself created many different tables, right? Based on the different multiple entities, right? যিমান এন্টিটি থাকে সেই হিচাপত আমি ধেৰ টেবুল বনাও। Yes, so that's what I mean to say, that in the case of flat file database we are working on the single table, we have only one table, but in the case of relational database we do have multiple tables, right? Now coming to the second difference, it is represented using a data dictionary. Information খিনি থকাটোকে আমি কওঁ dictionary, you know, দেখিছা নহয় ইয়াত field number, data type, article, size, example. So we are using data dictionary in the case of flat file database, and maximum time in the case of relational database we use schema. I hope you have heard about ER model. ER model শুনিছা? Entity relationship model. That one, that one we use in the case of relational database. ইয়াৰ মডেলে বহুত সুন্দৰকৈ তোমালোকক সেই এন্টিটি বিলাক আৰু এট্ৰিবিউট বিলাক আৰু তোমাৰ যি ধৰণৰ ৰিলেশ্যন এষ্টাব্লিছ হৈছে সেইবিলাক বহুত ধুনীয়াকৈ উপস্থাপন কৰে, right? ER model, but that's why we use ER model, and we have some And here means what I can say, improved version of ER model that is known as extended ER model or enhanced ER model. Okay, that one we use in the case of relational database. So second difference is clear. Third, in case of flat file database, we have files, records, fields, characters. But generally, relational database we use the terms like entities to represent real life world. Means max যেনেকে like a student to কি হৈ যাব এটা entity, right? Faculty কি হৈ যাব, faculty will become one entity because it has some properties. Like students has some properties, student ID, student name, student suppose what I can say, email ID, and then address, then marks information. So যেনেকে তোমালোকে এখন ৱেবছাইট খোলা, তাৰপিছত তাত ফেকাল্টি প্ৰফাইললৈ যাব, তাত ঢেৰ ডিফাৰেণ্ট ফেকাল্টিজ থাকিব, তাহাঁতৰ ইনফৰমেশ্যনখিনি তুমি চাব পাৰা. So these are entity and that is faculty, right? And সেই যে property বিলাক, যে suppose faculty ক'ত কি কৰিছে, কি তাৰ background, these are known as its attributes. Okay, then suppose সেই faculty to school of engineering and technology belong কৰে, so সেই faculty আৰু সেই SET সেই দুটা particular entity মাজত এটা relation establishes. So in that way we can define this entity, attribute, and relationship. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Then advantage, head file খন easy হয়, এখনে টেবল থাকে, so বেছি তাত কাম কৰিবলগীয়া একো নাই. It is very easy to create and use, and of course inexpensive. But এটা problem হয় যে তাত redundancy ওপৰত কাম কৰিবলৈ আমাৰ কিন্তু টেকনিক নাথাকে. You know that in the case of RDBMS, we use techniques like normalizations. You have heard that. You also may heard that you also have worked already, that is first normal form, second normal form, third normal form, BCNF, 4NF, 5NF, these things, this technique, these different normalization techniques you already been gone through, right? These techniques help us to reduce the data redundancy to a very great extent. এটাৰ ওপৰত এটা আমি এইকেইটা ইউজ কৰি গ'লে আমাৰ redundancy কমি গৈ থাকিব. But this type of techniques are rarely available in the case of flat file database. So advantage in the case of flat file is that it is very easy to create and use, and it's inexpensive too. But in the case of relational database, we have one major advantage, that is reduced data redundancy with some techniques that is known as normalization. And we have some techniques to maintain the consistency, shared data, and centralized security, like that. So advantage portion is also clear. So this, I think that these are sufficient for today. These are the differences that between flat file and relational database. Do note them down, don't forget them. So with this, I'm not moving ahead. I'm stopping right here. I hope whatever the topics I have discussed today, everything is clear to you. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to take that in this now.